Now at 5, a massive fire destroys a holiday home, and firefighters are still working on keeping hot spots under control.
Plus, a fireworks show goes wrong in Roy. What we know about this scary situation.
And this Utah amazed people on YouTube for years. Now we're learning more about this man's tragic death.
We are seeing scattered afternoon thunderstorms and showers, flash flood warnings in place. We'll show you where and how long they'll be lasting.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13's Live at 5.
First on Fox 13, investigators are releasing new details into this weekend's violent attacks that killed nearly 30 people.
In El Paso, Texas, that shooting being described as domestic terrorism and a possible hate crime. The suspected shooter is facing state capital murder charges.
Meanwhile, in Dayton, Ohio, authorities have identified the man accused of killing 9 people, including his own sister. Fox's Ray Bogan has the latest from El Paso.
There have been 2 mass shootings in 24 hours. Now, one shooter is dead, another will face the death penalty, and dozens of families are planning funerals. Overnight, tragedy struck America again as a gunman wearing black body armor killed 9 and injured dozens more in a Dayton, Ohio bar.
It's like popping noise. I thought it might have been a car or something. But when I found out I was looking and like, well, why is everybody running?
Law enforcement arrived in seconds and killed the shooter. The mayor says hundreds could have died if it wasn't for a quick police response.
To, be awakened in the middle of the night to a mass shooting and the 250th shooting in our country this year happening in Dayton.
In El Paso, police are beginning to remove the bodies from the Walmart where 20 people were murdered Saturday morning.
The attack, from what we know in the public record, certainly appears to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population.
The shooting is being treated as a domestic terrorism case.
And we're going to do what we do to terrorists in this country, which is deliver swift and certain justice.
The U.S. District Attorney announced his office will pursue hate crime and federal firearms charges. The El Paso District Attorney said they'll seek the death penalty.
We are a very safe community. We pride ourselves on the fact that we're so safe. And certainly this community is rocked and shocked and saddened by what has happened here.
President Trump has ordered flags be flown at half staff until Thursday at sunset. In El Paso, Texas, Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Happening now, a 25,000 square foot house in Holiday has been on fire now for almost 21 hours.
And firefighters say they don't know how much longer it'll be before it's entirely put out. Fox 13's Adam Herbetz is live in Holiday near Interstate 215 with an update. Adam, what's the latest?
Yeah, John, Kirsten, this is what the fire looks like right now. Plumes of smoke still visible from across the valley, and we are coming up on 21 hours. The reason this is taking so long to put out is because it is too dangerous for fire crews to get inside.
It's this way.
Once firefighters got inside this huge burning home, they realized pretty quickly they had to get out.
Something inside wasn't right. It was unsafe for us to be there.
Things were collapsing down to the basement, putting our firefighters in great peril.
We're probably going to be looking at a total loss here with this structure, which is quite sad.
Family members said they're thankful everyone is alive and okay. They weren't home at the time, but they think everything is replaceable, except for their pet bird.
For my grandparents, they definitely don't deserve this. They're the most loving people, in the world.
They're upset and they're sad. It's hard right now. The information that we can give them is not great.
This whole east side of the valley is seeing this happen. I know it's got people curious. It's not usual for us to have this kind of prolonged operation. There's just a lot of challenges to this. At 5 o'clock, it'll be 21 hours in the works.
Neighbors say there was a power outage last night, but nobody knows what caused the fire. They just hope for the family's sake they can start rebuilding soon.
At this point in time, we don't have an estimated end to this incident, but we're working actively and we feel confident that we're making headway slowly but surely.
Last night, there were about 85 firefighters here. Since then, they've been cycling crews in and out, trying to keep everybody fresh and keep everybody safe. The fire department says the family also understands that keeping those firefighters safe is a top priority, so they are not upset that they're not able to battle it from inside. We're live in Holiday. Adam Herbetz. John, Kirsten, we'll throw it back to you.
Adam, thank you. And Breck, I know that those firefighters Mother Nature was not on their side last night because we had some wind gusts.
Oh yeah, we had those thunderstorms that roared through mid-afternoon into the early evening hours. Wind gusts in excess of 45 miles per hour. That didn't help out the situation for sure. Now, another 24 hours, here we're at this afternoon as we look from our Intermountain camera. A different story, a different view. We've got more blue skies, less winds, temperatures about where they were yesterday, but of course where we don't have the cloud cover, we're not going to be cooling off. As we look towards southern Utah, though, here's a view of Lake Powell. Take a look. A thunderstorm roaring through. Those boats in a dangerous situation trying to get off the water. You can see the water, white cap for sure. And towards southern Utah, we've been seeing some active weather. Let's take a look at our Sky Tracker Doppler radar across the state. First turning towards southern Utah, you can see a line of thunderstorms that has been rushing through areas such as Escalante, heading over towards Lake Powell. Particularly as you look Escalante, Hole in the Rock Road, moving over towards Lake Powell. If you know that area, currently there is a flash flood warning in place, including the Escalante River, and that'll be in place until 10 o'clock. Yes, estimates from these thunderstorms in some locations producing over an inch of rain rather quickly. Now through central Utah, along I-70, wet roads, spanning up through Price as well. Wasatch Front, not bad. A few isolated showers over the Oquirrh Mountains. We've got a little bit of activity up in Dugway, potentially moving over towards the north end of Utah County, south end of Salt Lake Valley. But again, this is not too intense. Different story for sure. But these afternoon thunderstorms having their way across southern Utah. How long are we going to keep on to this or hold on to this moisture and this chances of afternoon thunderstorms? We'll let you know coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah, check out that video. It captures the moment things went wrong during the fireworks at Roy Days last night. Crews say winds pushed fireworks out of the fall zone and into the crowd, causing the show to end early. 4 people were treated for minor burns, but nobody was taken to the hospital. Fox 13 just obtained these photos of one of the victims who was injured. We're talking with that victim's family right now, and we'll update you tonight at 9 o'clock.
And just into the Fox 13 newsroom, an Enoch man is behind bars for attempted rape. According to the St. George News, police arrested 64-year-old Terry Washington here after he failed to appear in court. Police say this all stems from an incident from last October when Washington allegedly tried to rape a house cleaner at his home. When police questioned Washington about what happened, he tried to blame the crime on his twin brother.
Right now, the Nephi Fire Department says they're working with both ground and air units to put out 2 wildfires. One of them is the Paint Mine Fire. That's between Nephi and Mona. 3 other departments are also working to put out a fire that's off of SR 132 at milepost 15. So far, the Deputy Chief Sheriff of Juab County says the only structure threatened is a communications tower. No evacuations have been ordered, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. A packaged food company in Salt Lake City will most likely have to do some expensive repairs after a fire early this morning. This was at White Wave Foods at 1658 South, 4370 West around 1 a.m. The Salt Lake City Fire Department says oily rags stored in bins that caught fire are to blame. Firefighters were able to get this under control in about a half an hour. Nobody was hurt, but damage estimated at between $80,000 and $100,000.
And in southern Utah, an Arizona couple and a North Dakota woman are dead after a head-on crash in San Juan County. UHP says yesterday afternoon, just after 4 o'clock, a Ford Expedition that was towing a boat was headed northbound on SR 191 when a Ford F-150 veered into oncoming traffic and crashed into them. All victims died at the scene. The driver of the pickup was flown to a hospital in Grand Junction, Colorado in critical condition.
We're learning more about the death of a famous YouTube celebrity killed in a paragliding crash last Monday in Hurricane. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says they've seen the video of the crash that killed the king of random, 38-year-old Jonathan Grant Thompson. Deputies say a change of wind caused Thompson's chute to collapse. Thompson's reserve chute did not deploy in time before he fell to his death.
Still to come, could dark chocolate help relieve depression? We'll tell you what a new study has found.
And it's one of Park City's biggest hits. We'll take you to the Kimball Arts Festival. And now to national news. We start in New Hampshire, where a man accused of firing at a police officer is behind bars. Police in Rochester tried to pull the man over. The suspect instead opened fire at the officer and took off. The officer who shot back was not hit. Police eventually found the suspect with the help of a helicopter and infrared technology. The suspect was then taken to the hospital for a gunshot wound that police believe was self-inflicted. The officer who fired their weapon was put on paid administrative leave pending a review. And in Texas, a woman says she killed her boyfriend after being held against her will. Police say the couple had an argument and began to fight over a gun. The woman then grabbed that gun and she shot and killed her boyfriend. Deputies say she then hid inside the garage until deputies arrived. Authorities had to cut into the garage so she could escape. She then told deputies that her boyfriend rigged the residence with explosives, but they say they didn't find any. And starting August 20th, San Francisco's airport will stop selling plastic water bottles. The ban, part of the airport's goal to become zero waste by the year 2021. That means 90% of the waste it produces does not go to landfills. Airport vendors will have to start selling water in aluminum, glass, or compostable containers. The airport plans to add to its existing water hydration stations to make it easier to fill your own container.
Greg Bolton in the Weather Center this afternoon. And
we need some water today.
Yes, talking about water. How are we doing so far?
Across the state, as far as droughts and so forth, there's a couple dry spots, southeastern Utah, south central Utah as well. But of course, if you remember a few months ago, across the state, we had severe conditions, drought, and even looking across northern Utah, we had some moderate concerns. But that's not the case. We have been fairly dry, but today in some spots, you're getting too much water. As we give you a view from, actually this is near Halls Crossing. This is not Utah Lake, this is down in Lake Powell, just the title's wrong, but this thunderstorm beginning to roar through. This is when you definitely get off the lake, especially if you know in Lake Powell, when you have a thunderstorm pushing through, you really can get trapped. And of course, we're gonna be giving you updates because we do have a flash flood warning near that area. Now here's a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera looking across the Tooele Valley. We've been seeing some clouds, a few isolated mountain showers, but huge difference from what we found yesterday at this hour. Again, across Utah County through Summit, Wasatch counties, active weather, heavy rain. Not the case here. Northern Utah staying fairly dry. Now, as we've had more sunshine across portions of northern Utah, temperatures at this hour quite a bit warmer, mid to upper 90s, as you can see from Salt Lake City to Provo. Yesterday, actually, we were in the 70s in Provo because of the cloud cover and the rain showers. Many spots in the 80s and 90s. Some areas a little bit cooler. How about 105 in St. George? Winds, it's not too bad out there. Near some of those thunderstorms, we've been seeing wind gusts in excess of 45 miles per hour, and we're mainly seeing that activity across central into south central Utah at this hour. You can see from our SkyTracker Doppler radar where heavy rains moving again from Escalante over towards Lake Powell potentially will be influencing Moab down through Monticello. Blanding could get in the mix, and also the Uinta Basin. We're seeing this kind of that zone there from south central towards northeastern Utah. Now these showers are kind of tapering off just a little bit, but active weather expected across south central Utah. Again, we do have a flash flood warning, as we mentioned earlier, from Escalante over towards Lake Powell, particularly near the Hole in the Rock Road. You're just wanting to avoid that area, especially just doing some touring or hiking, especially near some of those slot canyons and those dry washes. A concern here for the next few hours. As I mentioned, northeastern Utah, a little bit of activity north of Duchesne. Wasatch Front, things are fairly dry right now. What about looking forward? Here's our computer models as we take a look here for this afternoon. Again, south central towards northeastern Utah. Maybe a few spotty showers across the north. We could see a little bit of activity, Utah County, Salt Lake County, moving over towards the Wasatch Mountain Valleys as we head into the late evening hours, overnight, things really drying out. Tomorrow, we have a few clouds around, maybe a few mountain showers, but all in all, we're seeing less of a threat of those afternoon thunderstorms as we start the work week off. But as I look from eastern Utah through south central Utah, about a 30% chance, again, of those scattered afternoon or evening thunderstorms, I should say. Overnight lows for many spots getting down into the 60s, some locations down into the 70s. Tomorrow, as we push away the moisture, we're still holding on to the heat. Upper 90s expected from Salt Lake City to the Provo, 90s from Vernal to Price. I'll throw in a slight chance of an afternoon shower for southwest Wyoming, probably down from Vernal to Price, that area, and maybe potentially in Moab. But for most of the state, it's drying out. We're seeing partly cloudy skies That's going to be hot for the next couple of days. The only maybe little relief that we get with some rain would be Wednesday, an afternoon shower, very isolated. That will drop temperatures just a little bit, and that's the best possibility of seeing some rain. Again, it's the middle of the week, and we'll see that chance for northern Utah as well. A little bit of monsoon flow, not significant, but an afternoon shower a possibility. But before that, temperatures warming up. We get close to triple digits on Tuesday, hopefully with a little cloud cover by the end of the week. We cool back down to the low 90s.
Thanks, Breck. Still ahead, the Fox 13 Dream Team does it again. Wait till you see this surprise for a woman who goes above and beyond for her family.
This is Fox 13 News.
This weekend, the Salt Lake City Police Department is giving back in a big way. These officers decided to pay it forward at a local Target and take these students on a shopping spree, buying all the essentials they need for a successful school year. Such cute kids. Also this weekend, it's been going on for 50 years, and this year's Kimball Art Festival in Park City is about to be history by 6 o'clock.
Yeah, more than 225 artists applied. They're from all over the country and even the world, and they had their work showcased in this weekend's festival. Needless to say, the art was a huge hit for visitors.
I like that they have so many more local businesses on display, and a lot of the same great artists are back, as well as a lot of great new ones.
Fox 13's Kelly Chapman even handed out one of 13 People's Choice Awards today, honoring the most popular artists of the festival. Fox 13 is a proud media sponsor of the Kimball Arts Festival.
This is the Fox 13 Dream Team, powered by Mountain America Credit Union, with support from Woodside Homes and Smith's Food and Drug.
Well, imagine coming home from work to find the Fox 13 Dream Team waiting in front of your house. That's exactly what happened to Lori Bell of Magna.
That'd be a huge surprise. Her sister Jolene nominated her for a Dream Team surprise and was in the passenger seat of Lori's car recording her reaction.
Oh, no. For real? Oh, my God.
I nominated my sister Lori. She took care of me as my mother my whole life. Our mom died at a very young age. I was 5, she was 15. My father was a truck driver, and he was trying to raise 2 girls by himself. Have a lot of love for him because he did this on his own with 2 of us. We moved a lot. We had points of homelessness.
Lori and Jolene are all grown up with families of their own, and the idea of home means everything. But the home Lori bought has a big problem.
It's just caved in.
The driveway.
When it snows or rain, the water fills up that hole, and so they have to park on the dirt, what should be lawn, in order to get in and out of the driveway.
The driveway and the lawn are expenses Lori has struggled with.
She gets 2 steps forward, and it seems like 2 steps back, and it's an eyesore, right? She wants to be a good neighbor.
We are tearing things up. It's all part of a Dream Team surprise. Now that Lori has a driveway again, she needs a lawn.
This is the kind of thing that makes it special. It makes it more like home, because now she can come out and have a nice beverage on her front porch and enjoy her front yard and actually be able to pull in to her driveway and not feel like she's going to fall in with her car.
When Lori gets home from work, this will look like a totally different house, and the Dream Team will be waiting for her along with her dad.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
It's okay to cry.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, I did kill all of you.
Lori, are you a little surprised?
I'm a lot surprised.
Welcome home. We are the Fox 13 Dream Team, and we are so excited that you're here.
Me too, thank you.
Did you know that your sister Jolene was in on it?
No, I didn't.
We know a little bit about your background and just how hard you have worked your entire life, and the fact that you had to grow up so quickly. Oh, you're crying. Don't cry. This is a happy day.
Please don't cry.
Thank you.
Let me introduce you. This is Kristalina.
We just are so excited to have your home the way it should have been from the beginning.
Yeah. What did you think when you saw this?
I was in tears instantly, and I said, oh my God, are you serious?
And then she said, I'm going to cry. And I said, it's okay, you can cry.
Thank you.
So, you're so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. That is awesome. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Oh my gosh.
If you know someone who could use a surprise from the Dream Team, head over to fox13now.com, click on the Dream Team tab, and fill out the nomination form.
And be very specific about the person that you want to nominate. Tell us what they've done for you and what can make a difference in their lives, and suggest a way for us to surprise them.
So will you see the Fast and Furious spin-off Hobbs and Shaw this weekend? Probably. But will you like it? We'll talk about it coming up.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Live at 5:30.
We continue to follow the aftermath of 2 mass shootings that have devastated the nation this weekend.
And since 29 people were killed in El Paso and Dayton, Democrats are trying to find ways to prevent this from happening again. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has the story from Washington.
Given these latest mass shootings, 2020 candidates and congressional Democrats are pushing once again for gun reform and placing partial blame for the violence on what they're calling President Trump's anti-immigrant message.
Let's not mince words right now. This president is encouraging greater racism, and not just the racist rhetoric, but the violence that so often follows.
We have a president who is responsible, who is not taking that responsibility and is doing nothing to address the deepening crisis in our country of this kind of violence.
We've got to heal, and it's got to start at the top. The president has to take a leadership role in this.
Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney on ABC's This Week, pushing back on criticism the president's words had any effect on the gunman, saying this should be a social issue, not a political one.
The president is just as saddened by this as you are. The president is just as angry by this as you are, and wants to do something about it just as much as everybody else does.
This morning, Speaker Nancy Pelosi in a statement saying the Republican Senate must stop their outrageous obstruction and join the House to put an end to the horror and bloodshed that gun violence inflicts every day in America. Enough is enough. 2020 candidate Senator Bernie Sanders tweeting, Mitch McConnell should bring the Senate back into session immediately to pass H.R. 8, the gun safety bill that has already passed the House, going on to call it a first step. The DNC chairman saying today the shootings are, quote, the price of inaction. However, the counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, tweeting that finger pointing behind keyboards, quotes, solves not a single problem, saves not a single life. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
And let's take a look outside at our Intermountain camera this afternoon. You can see it is another gorgeous but hot day out there. Do you think things are going to warm up? Kirsten, do you want to see things cool down? I certainly wouldn't mind a few degrees less.
I'm going to complain either way. So Breck knows that. I'll complain either way.
But it's so cold in here.
So what are we going to complain about this week?
Oh, I don't know. Yesterday we had cloud cover. We did cool down in the afternoon, but it was because of the thunderstorms. Now we push away the thunderstorms, we get the sunshine, and yeah, the heat returns. So That's what we get in the, of course, summer months. If we're going to cool off, we have to bring the active weather, and that's what we're finding at least towards southern Utah. But for the Wasatch Front versus yesterday, we did have thunderstorms roaring through Utah County at this hour. Not the case here this afternoon. Here's a view again from Utah Lake, looking over across northern Utah County into Saratoga Springs. Let's take another view down towards southern Utah, another spot on Lake Powell, if you know where Height's at. Thunderstorms pushing their way through. These thunderstorms initially came through Escalante, dropping a lot of rain where we do have flash flood warnings to talk about. Now let's go across the state. Once again, take a look at your satellite radar. Line of thunderstorms pushing through. Again, as we've been looking at that impact, that's why we're showing you these camera views at Lake Powell. Now, you'll notice here over the past 15, 20 minutes, notice those colors, the oranges, the reds, the yellow. They were a little bit more widespread, diminishing just a bit. So these thunderstorms are losing a little bit of strength, still producing some significant rain. But earlier on, it was quite a bit. Copious amounts of precipitation, as you can see, from Escalante through Lake Powell. We do have a flash flood warning, which will remain in place until 10 o'clock. That's the only spot that we have that warning right now. But if you're traveling along I-70 from Green River, also up towards Price, we're seeing that active weather. Wasatch Front, fairly calm right now. But is that moisture going to make its way towards the Wasatch Front as we start the work week? We'll let you know coming up.
About 20 million students begin college each fall, and for many of them, it's the first time on their own. Barb Consiglio shows us how this transition can take a toll on their health.
India Carter's parents have always taught her to be independent, a skill that will serve her well as she heads off to college.
I've really been making sure to make my routines by myself and start making schedules.
It's a transition that isn't always easy, especially when it comes to taking care of your health. Chief Wellness Officer Bernadette Melnick of The Ohio State University urges all students to check off a few simple tasks before move-in day to build a plan to stay healthy on campus. First on the list, establish healthy habits.
Just like you build in time for classes, build in time for physical activity, healthy eating, stress reduction.
And just like mapping out your route to classes, be sure to find places on campus that promote healthy habits, like the gym, healthy food options, and student health centers. Next on the list, make sure you find local health care.
Get connected to a primary care provider as soon as you get on campus. Learn where the pharmacy is so you don't lapse in your medication regimen.
Your parents don't know what's going on. Your friends don't know you well enough yet to know what's going on. Only you do, so you have to take charge of your health.
And not just your physical health. An important item on the checklist, make your mental health a priority. Between the pressures of school and feeling isolated in a new place, stress and anxiety have led to an increase in mental health disorders among college students.
Take things day by day and focus on what is currently right in front of you.
If you're feeling overwhelmed, don't wait to seek professional help. Also, connect with campus organizations early to start making friends, something that can go a long way in reducing stress. As is the last item on the checklist, find a system that works for you. India uses a weekly planner for classwork and smartphone apps for medication reminders. It's preparations like these that make India's mom confident she's ready to take on the world ahead.
I feel like she has the skill to adapt, and we're here for her.
At The Ohio State University, this is Barb Consiglio reporting.
Researchers in Australia say there is a link between the paleo diet and an increased risk of acquiring heart disease. So the paleo diet is heavy on meat, fish, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and fruits. So researchers screened 44 participants who were on the paleo diet and a similar number doing a traditional Australian diet. So those doing the paleo had twice the amount of a biomarker that's often linked to heart disease than those that were doing the traditional diet. Some good news for chocolate lovers. Your favorite dessert may improve your mental health. Researchers in London found that people who ate dark chocolate in 2 24-hour periods were 70% less likely to report feeling depressed than those who didn't eat any. The study's authors say more research is needed to determine why this is happening.
Coming up in sports, local professional golfer Zach Blair taking a big step towards getting his PGA Tour card back this week. And what a comeback win for RSL last night against one of the better teams in Major League Soccer. The highlights and post-match reactions are on the way.
And welcome back. The Fast and Furious series is continuing to reign on top of the box office with a new spin-off that is out this weekend.
Fox 13's movie critic Rich Bonaducci takes a look at Hobbs and Shaw.
Let's talk movies, or movie, since there's basically only one big new release in theaters this weekend, a spin-off from the Fast and Furious franchise. Series regulars Luke Hobbs, that's The Rock, and Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham, form an unlikely and cranky alliance when a genetically enhanced supervillain, Idris Elba, threatens the future of humanity in Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
When it's the fate of the world, it becomes my business.
This whole thing sounds really dodgy. Look after your sister.
Listen, I'll handle it.
The only way we survive is working together, like a team.
Let's do this.
Buckle up, fat boy.
On my 3, 1. Woo! Hey, see the look on his face? You have no idea how long I've been waiting to do that.
So, no surprise, the repartee between The Rock, the Dwayne Johnson, and Jason Statham are the best parts of this flick. Well, that and the cameos from some surprise guest stars. And the stunts, obviously, you can see them here, but everything else, like the plot, the dialogue, it's pretty ludicrous, as expected from the property, but even some of the stunt work is ridiculous, even for Fast and Furious standards. And in the last one, The Rock basically punched a torpedo. But probably the worst idea was the shift in tone from snide one-liners being delivered amidst insane stunts to, once again, it's all about family and the dramatic stuff, delivered in all seriousness, by the way. It's also a bit long at 2 hours and 16 minutes. So if they had cut out all that unwise dramatic stuff, it probably could have been an even and more fun 2 hours. But since I feel like these movies kind of exist in their own little pocket universe, you can't really compare them to, like, a good movie, so to speak. You have to use something different. So I'll rank it along with other installments. And for me, this 9th Fast and Furious movie is 3rd. With Fate of the Furious in 1st position, Fast 5 in 2nd, and Tokyo Drift in 4th. Past that, who cares? It's a popcorn muncher that I think fans will love. Critics will reluctantly admit that it's fun for the most part. And it's not only going to get a sequel, it's going to get a sequel. It might even get a spin-off of this spin-off, or 2. Hey, you never know. Considering some of the characters I'm not going to spoil for you, they might get a spin-off. Now, if you go, stick around, not only through the credits, but to the absolute end of the credits. Don't go to the bathroom and then come out thinking you're going to see the stuff at the end, because they sprinkle cool stuff throughout. Stay to the end if you go to Hobbs and Shaw. For Fox 13, I'm Rich Bonaducci.
Never seen a Fast and Furious movie. The 9.
9?
That's a lot.
Gee.
In today's Hot Shots, a world-famous tourist attraction is actually turning people away. We're going to tell you why.
But first, a bizarre arrest in South America, and it's all caught on camera. One inmate from Brazil tried pulling a fast one on authorities at attempting to escape dressed as a woman. You see here, Claudio da Silva, nicknamed Shorty, was hiding in plain sight wearing a mask and women's clothing during his escape. Authorities seeing through the disguise, though. They took him into custody, transferring him to a maximum security unit while also opening an investigation on his family for helping with this attempted escape.
And listen to this. The famous French museum, the Louvre, is now turning people away and only allowing access to those who have bought tickets online to see the Mona Lisa. Now, with the growing popularity of selfies, employees were forced to relocate Da Vinci's masterpiece. The museum was actually experiencing severe overcrowding. Pathways were being jammed due to people wanting to see that Mona Lisa. Officials say they had no choice but to change how the museum operates. I was there last month.
Yeah.
I can tell you,
I went
it
last
was
year, and
a
it's
mess.
horrible.
It was a disaster.
It's like shoving elbows to get through.
And it's all for the selfies. Everybody wants that perfect selfie.
I got one.
And they don't, well. Was it perfectly framed with her behind you?
No.
Okay.
Just talking about your vacation jaunts to Paris, is that what we're hearing?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Did you miss the invitation, Brett?
A good life. A good life for sure. All right, let's move to the weather. We've got some concerns, particularly across southern Utah, as we've been talking about thunderstorms pushing their way through, producing flash flooding. Here's an updated shot. This is at Halls Crossing, Lake Powell, just near Bullfrog. Look at those clouds. boy, I'm hoping to get some video. We don't want anyone hurt, but you know when you see that video of flash flooding through Lake Powell with those houseboats, well, hopefully you're going to be okay. Many people, of course, hopefully getting off the lake are in the process of doing so as this storm will be pushing its way through and then moving further eastward, impacting southeastern Utah here over the next couple of hours. Showers, thunderstorms across south central, southeastern Utah. Of course, we've been mentioning this one that's moved through Escalante, where we do have a flash flood warning in place for Escalante River. Again, looking at this, moving through Halls Crossing, it will continue to track through. Now we're seeing a little bit of activity just north of Blanding. So from Monticello up through Moab, Canyonlands, you're definitely in sight here for the next few hours where potentially we could produce some thunderstorms as well as heavy rain, seeing if we get any more flash flooding through that region. Now, a few moderate rain showers as you look from Green River over towards Price, Uinta Basin as well. So it's really eastern Utah towards southeastern Utah. That's the hot spot right now for this active weather. And line of thunderstorms trying to threaten and move through portions of northwestern Utah, Box Elder County. Maybe a little disturbance that's pushing just near the Oquirrh Mountains. Tracking a little bit later on, maybe an isolated shower across the south end of the Wasatch Front. But all in all, we should be okay, but there could be some isolated showers. Tooele County, Salt Lake County, Utah County here for the rest of the afternoon. Seeing some cloud cover as you can look over towards the Tooele Valley. Temperatures right now in the mid to upper 90s for most locations. Now, here's the bigger point. We've been talking about this high pressure. Yesterday it was near the Four Corners area. That brought more moisture towards northern Utah. Now, shifting a little bit eastward. That's why the focus is across the east and will be here for the rest of the afternoon. But this high pressure moves down towards the south and away from kind of this ideal flow where we get more moisture across the state. So we begin to dry out just a little bit here as we transition from Monday to Tuesday. Confirming that, taking a look at our moisture tracker. Again, exiting Monday, we'll see a lot of sunshine, maybe an isolated mountain shower, and that'll be the situation into Tuesday as well. But then as we go late Tuesday through Wednesday, we start seeing another surge of moisture, and that'll give us a better chance of maybe seeing some rain showers once again, thunderstorm activity in addition. So middle of the week, that's definitely a question mark right now. We're going to hold on to the clouds, though, along the Wasatch Front hour-by-hour forecast where we cool off into the 80s by 8 o'clock. Overnight lows in the low 70s. Tomorrow, returning back into the mid to upper 90s. Just a slight chance of a mountain shower and maybe an isolated valley shower across eastern Utah. The rest of the state will be seeing partly cloudy conditions. And for southern Utah, I mentioned Wednesday, you see a slight chance of an afternoon shower. Before that, though, it's hot. But for the next few days, we're in the triple digits, maybe getting back down into the 90s as we look towards the weekend. Northern Utah, close to triple digits on Tuesday at 99. Wouldn't be surprised if we made it up to 100 degrees. We're trying to avoid it, but during the month of August, especially in the first couple of weeks, it's not unlikely that we could see at least a couple of days in the triple digits. A chance of some showers Wednesday with some cloud cover that will drop temperatures, and we'll find low 90s by Friday and Saturday. So it's really one day that we have the best chance of seeing any rain.
The playoff race in the Western Conference is heating up, so every point matters from here on out for RSL. They picked up 3 big ones last night against New York City FC. It wasn't a great start for RSL at home. NYCFC took the early lead on this goal from Alexander Ring in the 4th minute of the match. So RSL had to come from behind, something they've struggled to do this season. But they tied it up just before the half. Marcelo got it going with the start with the header. Then it's Kyle Beckerman to Jefferson Savarino. He shoots and scores his 6th goal of the season. Rips it with the left foot to the near post and in. Tied the score in the 37th minute. Now in the second half, RSL back on the attack, and it's Beckerman with another assist. This one to Albert Rusnak. Sets it up on his right foot, fires it into the back of the net. What a goal from Rusnak, his 8th of the season. A beautiful strike from 25 yards out. And RSL was on top 2-1 in the 75th minute. They added one more goal. Yoel Plata sends it in. It's deflected back to Savarino. His shot takes the deflection. Nick Beasler, check it out again. Sticks his foot out and puts it in for what they call a cheeky goal. RSL won it 3-1 to pick up all 3 points. That moves them into the 6th playoff spot in the West with 34 points, and it shows they can come back from a deficit and win.
I thought it was a really good response. I think nobody panicked. I think the main thing was we just weren't as sharp as we needed to be, especially coming out of the gate when both teams are fresh. It was good to see that nobody panicked. We kind of got a hold of the game, started creating some chances, got that tie, the equalizer before half, which was important, I think, just for our minds and for the confidence and momentum going into the next second half. So it's a good result with that in mind. So now when we go forward in the season, we go behind, we know we've come back from being a goal down to win, so it'll give us some confidence going forward.
Beating one of the best teams in the other conference in terms of standing and the way they want to play, I mean, it does help the confidence, and we'll be looking to take that into Kansas next week.
RSL will play at Sporting Kansas City this Saturday. Local professional golfer Zach Blair could be headed back to the PGA Tour next season. The former BYU Cougar and Utah State amateur champion has a one-shot lead with 4 holes to play at this week's Korn Ferry Tour event. A win would move him to 10th in the standings. The top 25 earn their PGA Tour cards, so this would pretty much guarantee his return next season. There's a new winner on the PGA Tour. It's JT Poston. Great approach shot on the 13th hole at the Wyndham Championship. He knows it's good, and here's why. Knocks it right by the stick, leads to a birdie to get to 21 under par. He had this par putt on the final hole to finish at 22 under par, and he rolls it in. Won by 1 shot over Webb Simpson. The playoffs start next week at the Northern Trust. Tony Finau, the Utah, is 16th in the FedEx Cup standings. NASCAR, Chase Elliott loves racing at Watkins Glen International in New York. A year after racing for his first career Cup victory at the Glen, Elliott won a second time on the same track, beating Martin Truex Jr. just as he did 1 year ago. Hey, preseason camps are underway in college football, guys, so we'll have plenty of the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies tonight on the Fox 13 Sports page starting at 10:05.
Can't believe it's already football season.
It sure is.
Doesn't high school football start in like 2 weeks?
It's coming up. Yeah, we'll be covering it all in the next month or so.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Finally on Live at 5, somebody call the Cookie Monster. Today,
Not the Cookie Monster, because then the Cookie Monster.
He'd eat them all.
Yeah, he wouldn't leave.
We will be the Cookie Monster.
Just reading the prompter, guys.
Sorry.
It's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
Yeah, so Ruth Graves Wakefield is credited with making the first cookie back in 1937.
You need that butter and
I want to know why our producer has not brought us some cookies.
Where's that?
Whoa.
Brought
He
for ice
demanded
cream,
it,
remember?
not me. We'll see you tonight at 9.
C is for